This lesson is over how to solve one-step equations, addition and subtraction. Before we do that, let's look at our number routine, fix the mistake. Chris spends $12 on a book. This is $3 less than the original price. How much was the original price? We don't know the original price. Write a subtraction equation using x equals original price. So we're going to use the letter x. So we know the original price, x. Chris only spent $12 on his book. So he must have had a $3 discount or coupon. So that means we need to take away $3 from the original price. And what variable are we using for the original price? X. So x minus 3 equals 12. So we're taking $3 less than the original price, and this is how much Chris paid. So this is not correct. But this is called a balance scale almost. Well, in science class, you see this more of a balance scale. In algebra, you find this in an equation board. That means this side is equivalent to this side. So let's pretend that this is science class. This is your balance scale. If I add, imagine there are 5 pounds on the left side. Would this side be heavier? Yes, it will tilt towards this side. In order to balance it, I have to affix 5 pounds on the right-hand side. Now it is balanced. What happens if I take 2 of the pounds or 2 deposits away? Will it be balanced? No. This side will be heavier than this side. So in order to balance it out, I must take away 2 of the pounds. So if I affix or add 4 more pounds, balance it, I need to affix 4 more pounds. So we're going to take that premise into our algebra unit. So we have this. You're given this. X, -1, -1, -1, or -3. X plus -3, or x minus 3, is equal to +2. Right now, it is currently balanced. In order to solve equations, you have to isolate the variable. Again, what is a variable? A variable is a letter or symbol that really represent a number. It's an unknown number. So we're going to solve for it. We're going to try to figure out what does this x here is equivalent to. How can we substitute this x? What number can we substitute this x with so that this side is equivalent to this side, so it's equal +2. So first thing we need to do is isolate the variable. In order to isolate the variable, we need to do the inverse operation. We need to get rid of these -1. Any suggestions how to get rid of it? Before you say, oh, you might say, oh, we'll just get rid of it, just like this. Just get rid of them. No, you cannot just do that. You have to do it a reason. Is there a way to get rid of -1 using mathematics? Do you remember something called 0 pairs? What is the opposite or inverse of -1? +1. That will cancel out. That becomes 0 pair. So inverse of -3 is +3. But because I added 3 to the left side, is it balanced? No. I need to balance it out by adding 3 to the right-hand side. So all of this disappears. So x is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. To check my work, we're going to see if this is correct. Now it's time to check our work. I'm going to substitute. So we said x equals 5. I'm going to substitute this x with positive 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 0 pair, 0 pair, 0 pair. Is 2 equals a 2? It is. And that's using algebra calc. Some of you may, on the other hand, say, can I do it mathematically? I do not prefer using algebra calc. Which I understand. I totally understand. So represent the algebra calc algebraically. X minus 3 equals positive 2. Using this key helps us. So I need to isolate this variable x. In order to isolate this variable x, I need to do the inverse operation. What is the inverse of minus 3? Opposite of the operation of minus is add. Add 3. Is it balanced? No. Add 3 to this side. This cancels out. So x equal 2 plus 3 is 5. Now it's time to check our work to see if we did it correctly. So our original problem was x minus 3 is 2. If I replace the x with 5, it's 5 minus 3 equals 2. Check mark. Let's do the next example. We have x plus 2 equals negative 4. I need to isolate this variable. Any suggestion on how to get rid of plus 2? Inverse is minus 2. But if I add if I minus 2 on the left side, I need to keep it balanced, so I need a minus 2 on this side. These 0 pair out, so x equals negative 6. To check our work, I replace or substitute the x with 6 negatives. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These 0 pair out. Is negative 4 equal to negative 4? It does. So we did it correctly. Let's do it algebraically. X plus 2 equals negative 4. I need to I need to isolate the variable. I need to keep the variable by itself. I want to figure out what x is equivalent to. In order to do that, I need to do the inverse operation. The inverse of plus 2 is minus 2, minus 2. This cancels out. Ooh, do we remember how to subtract integers? Negative 4 minus 2. We add the opposite. 4 negatives, 2 negatives, negative 6. X equals 6. Check your work. Back to the original equation. Replace or substitute x with negative 6. Negative 6 plus 2 is negative 4. Number 3, third one. We have negative 2 is equal to 2 plus x. So I need to isolate this variable x. In order to isolate, I need to do the inverse of plus 2. That would be minus 2. Balance it out. So the answer is x is equal to 4. Let's solve it algebraically. Negative 2 is equal to 2 plus x. I need to solve this algebraically. So I need to isolate the variable x. What is the inverse of plus of 2? The inverse is minus 2, minus 2. Cancel. So what's negative 2 minus 2? Add the opposite. Negative 2 plus negative 2 is negative 4. So x equals 4. To check my work, I substitute or replace this x with negative 4. 2 positive, 4 negative is negative 2. Check mark. Number 4. So we have 2 equals 1 plus x. So I need to isolate this variable right here. So what's the inverse of plus 1? Minus 1. Minus 1. Balance it out. So This 0 pairs out, 0 pair out, so x equals 1. Whoops. Let's go back here. So we have 2 is equal to x plus 1 plus x. Actually, it wouldn't really matter because 1 plus x and x plus 1 using commutative property is the exact same thing. 1 plus x. I need to isolate this variable x. How do I isolate this variable x? I do the inverse operation. This 1, this 1. So 2 minus 1 is 1. 1 equals x. Okay. To check your work, replace this x with 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. So now, number 5, you're given now the equation these algebra to represent. So we have x plus 2 equals 5. So we are going to solve this using algebra. How can I isolate this variable? What is the inverse of plus 2? Minus 2. Minus 2. So we have x equals 3. Let's solve this algebraically. What's the inverse of, we need to isolate the variable. What's the inverse of plus 2? Minus 2, minus 2, cancel. X is 3. Let's check our work. You are required to check your work. Replace the x with 3. 3 plus 2 is equal to 5. Check mark. Number 6, we have x plus negative 2 equal negative 1. What is the, I need to isolate this variable x. What's the inverse of negative 2? Positive 2, positive 2. Balance it out. So these, so it seems like the answer will be x equal 1. Let's solve this algebraically. I need to isolate this variable x. What's the inverse of plus negative 2 minus negative 2 minus negative 2? So, how do you subtract again? Add the opposite. What do you get? We have 1 negative and 2 positive. Positive 1. X equal positive 1. And let's check our work. What is 1 plus negative 2? 1 plus negative 2 is negative 1. So it is true. Number 7, we have negative 2 is equivalent to x plus 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I need to isolate this variable right here. How do I isolate this variable? Oh, goodness gracious. I will have to do the inverse operation of plus 10, which is minus 10. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So x will equal negative 12. Let's do this mathematically, algebraically. You'll understand algebraically. It's so much faster. So we need to isolate this variable x. So the inverse of plus 10 is minus 10. Minus 10. What is negative 2 minus 10? Add the opposite. 2 negative plus 10 more negative is negative 12. So x is negative 12. Let's solve, just check your work because you are required to check your work. If I replace this x or substitute this x with negative 12, negative 12 plus 10, that's 2 negatives, check mark. And number 8. All right, now in here, you're just going to solve it. If you want to use algebra, go ahead. I'm just going to do it mathematically, algebraically. I want to isolate this variable x. What's the inverse operation of minus 7 plus 7 plus 7? So x equal 5 plus 7 is 12. Check your work. Are required to check your work. I replace this x with 12. Is 12 minus 7 equal 5? Check mark. Number 9, I want to solve for x, isolate the variable x. In order to do that, what's the inverse operation of minus 3 plus 3 plus 3? So 12 plus 3 is 15. This equals 15. Let's check our work. I replace the x with 15. 15 minus 3 is 12. Check mark. Number 10. All right, I want to isolate the variable x. In order to do so, what's the inverse operation of plus 9? Minus 9 minus 9. So what is negative 9 minus 9? Okay, you got how to subtract u. Add the opposite. You have 9 negatives. You're adding 9 more negatives to it. That's x equals negative 18. Let's check our work. Negative 18 plus 9 equals negative 9. Is that true? More negatives by 9. Check mark. And number 11, you have 8 positives equal 6 minus x. All right, this one, I need to change this to, let's change this to plus right here. I made a mistake on here. So in this one, let's make this negative 6. Let's make it a little more tougher. So what's the inverse operation? I need to isolate the variable x. What's the inverse of negative 6? 6, 6, x equals 15. Let's check our work. I replace or substitute the x with 15. I have more positives than negatives, so I have 8 more positive. And that is our lesson on how to solve one-step equation using addition and subtraction.